Welcome to Spacecraft Guide, the channel that describes how the most complex and historic spacecraft work. In this issue of Spacecraft Guide, we're going to continue our work on the lunar lander on the communications panel, and we're going to be talking about the switch right over here. The S-Band Power Amplification Switch. Now, what we're going to be talking about in our Patreon viewers, we're going to go in depth into this switch to figure out if there was any way possible that the astronauts could make a secret transmission and debunk the myth that they were reporting that there were other things on the moon besides humans. So, if you're a Patreon, at the end of this, we will go into detail on the schematics on how that would have worked, but it doesn't, and dispelling that myth. But if you click on this S-Band Power Amp switch, it takes you to the S-Band Power Amplifier Switch. And what this switch does is it enabled only if the transmitter receive switch is set to primary or secondary. In primary, it enables the power supply number 1 of S-Band Power Amplifier, minimum of 18.6 watts. Primary to power the power supply number 1 is provided by the Lunar Module pilot's 28-volt DC bus through COM primary S-band power amplifier circuit breaker. If it's an off, it inhibits both S-band power amplifier power supplies, and if it's in secondary, it enables power supplies. Enable power supply number 2 of S-band power amplifier, and that's a minimum of 14.8 volts to the power amplifier. So when we go into the schematics, we see the power amplifier right here. Now it controls these 2 switches. Now another switch that's going to come into play here is the transmitter receive switch. This has to be in either primary or secondary, as we see here. That's what's going to complete the circuits going in. So if we put this in primary, moving that up, it comes over here to the power supply for number 1, or the primary power supply amplifier. So we're getting power through the transmit receive there, and then we put this in primary. This moves this switch over here. So the circuit is completed where here this comes up, so the power comes, so this comes up, so the power comes over to primary, and then this power amplifier comes over here to supply power to the power amplifier, and that allows the power to come to the duplexer and then go out through the antenna. Now also, that switch comes here, opens up the primary, so the information from this side comes over to the primary power amplifier up through the duplexer and sends it out to the antenna, and also this comes up to here to primary, and that gets all the information for transmitting to the spacecraft from the antenna. So a lot of things going on with those 2 switches, and of course that's only the primary. If it goes to the secondary, this switch moves down, this switch moves down, so the power comes to that switch, then this comes down here, and we've got power up to here. The secondary comes over to there, So we're disconnecting everything from primary, and then everything you see before, this comes down to secondary, this comes down to secondary, everything comes through the secondary power amplifier because that has power now. That is going to come over and go to the duplexers and come out. So it's very complicated, but two switches here had to be open or put to this the primary or secondary to get the information. Here it's for transmitter receive primary secondary, which is separate, but primary means that it's a primary transmitter or secondary transmitter. Primary here means the power. So we've got the transmitting separately from the power system separately here. A little complex, but we went pretty deep into it in detail. So I hope that you understood that and enjoy it. If you have any questions, just just message me on my YouTube channel and I'll see if I can answer it for you. That's all for this week. If you would like to use this interactive virtual reality exhibit on the command module, the lunar module, and the surface of the moon, just go to our Patreon page and the link will be down below.